Hello, this is Spellbinder's news report, reporting on news articles of concern and of interest. This is one of them. Media scrambles as Bin Laden story crumbles by Alex Newman. This came from Global Research, but it's the New American. May 6, 2011. It says, while the establishment media was busy parroting President Obama's announcement that Osama bin Laden's supposed assassination, reporting the unsubstantiated claims as if they were unquestionable facts, much of the so-called alternative press was far more cautious and accurate, it turns out. But more importantly, with the new official storyline indicating that bin Laden was in fact unarmed, bigger and much more important questions are beginning to emerge. In terms of coverage, it turns out that the skeptical approach proved far superior in terms of getting it right. Countless mainstream sources were so confident in Obama's word that they reported many of the claims as facts without even attributing them to the president. But the official White House narrative has been changed so many times in recent days that now it's almost unrecognizable. There wasn't even a firefight, yet this was one of the critical elements of the original story that justified the assassination of a person who the government painted as the most valuable source of information on the planet, the leader of Al-Qaeda. And in reporting the statements as fact, the establishment press has officially been left with egg all over its face again. Just think about that, people. Think about the man with the most valuable information in his head, maybe even where a nuclear bombs may be that the Al-Qaeda has been sitting out there. And they killed him before they even questioned him. That should tell you something right there, that this is just stinks high heaven of fake. It's a fraud. It's false flag. Bin Laden was engaged in a firefight with those that entered the area of the house he was in, said terror czar John Brennan. Similarly, Obama said that after a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body. The next day, however, the White House spokesman admitted bin Laden was not armed. Trying to save face and justify the killing of an unarmed man, the spokesman added, without elaborating, that resistance does not require a firearm. Remember that when they kick your door in America. Resistance doesn't require a firearm. More than a few other important parts of the storyline have been altered, contradicted, or simply exposed as false, too. Everything from which the bin Laden son was supposedly killed to the claim that his wife was killed after being used as a human shield, all of it has changed, and for some reason or another, the transcripts after Brennan's speech was altered to change the name of the dead son. The new and improved narrative now says that not only was bin Laden's wife not killed, but that she was not used as a human shield. Stories change and change. Originally, the White House also suggested top officials watch and raid live through a video feed. Terror czar Brennan, for example, claimed that they had real-time visibility into the progress of the operation. CIA boss Leon Panetta later exposed that claim as false in an interview with PBS, saying, "There was a time period of almost 20 to 25 minutes that we really didn't know just exactly what was going on." That means the photo op of Obama and other officials intently watching the operation in the Situation Room was almost certainly staged for the press, PR. And almost every media outlet that ran the picture used inaccurate captions parroting the White House claims. The Mockingbird effect. And there's more. The night of the raid, one administration official told reporters that a helicopter was lost due to a mechanical failure. During that same briefing, another administration official said, "We didn't say it was mechanical." Now they claim the crash had something to do with temperature at the bin Laden supposed compound. Yeah, temperature. How does that affect something like a helicopter? Perhaps the temperature was like several hundred degrees high or several hundred degrees low. I don't see how it affected the helicopter temperature. They sure stuck with mechanical. A poorly photoshopped image of a dead bin Laden embarrassed a large swath of the world press and several senators, too. Shortly after newspapers and television stations around the globe ran the image, it was exposed as a shoddy forgery and that had been circulating for years. Now Obama said he decided not to release any pictures or any other evidence that any element of the story is true for that matter. And then there's the burial issue. Oh yes, this is the big one. The Obama administration originally claimed that no country would accept the bodies, so it was dumped at sea. Mafia style, of course. In accordance with what Obama alleged were Islamic traditions and customs, when prominent Muslim theological leaders repudiated that lie and noted that it was actually a violation of Islamic tenets to bury Osama bin Laden in the ocean, a new line was that the decision was to avoid the creation of a shrine. That lie fell apart too when it was widely reported that bin Laden's brand of Islam calls for unmarked graves. That's right, unmarked grave. That's why people don't know he's dead already. Died in 2001 because they buried him in an unmarked grave. So you'd have to really get somebody over there that knows where he is to show where he is. But then you couldn't dig him up because that would be blasphemous. Anyways, building any sort of shrine would have been blasphemous. So far, no new excuses have been concocted for allegedly feeding the body to the fish. Now do you see what's going on here? After the numerous discrepancies and falsehoods in the storyline became painfully obvious, the Associated Press, USA Today, and Fox News and other outlets slowly and begrudgingly started to report it. From the first moments, a good number of the details about bin Laden's killing on points large and small have been wrong, admitted a Fox reporter in one of the more candid acknowledgments to appear in the mainstream press. But of course, most of the media were dutifully offering and parroting all manner of excess. Fog of war was to be blamed for the confusion, claimed the White House spokesman after the excuse was suggested to him by a member of the press corps. Asking a question, virtually every major news outlet reporting the changes in the official story promptly blamed fog of war too. An apologist reporter at the USA Today wrote that the administration did its best to get the story quickly, adding its common situation with military action. The paper quoted a Pentagon spokesman under the Bush administration to bolster its case. The AP offered a similar excuse along with the fog of combat line offered by the White House. The contradictions in the missing statements reflect the fact that even in the case of a highly successful and popular mission, the confusion inherent in a fast-paced, unpredictable military raid conducted under intense pressure in a foreign country does not lend itself immediately to a tidy storyline, the reporter claims, citing some experts. Several excuses for the ever-changing story were offered by other publications too. The possibility that they were deliberate lies or worse was virtually never addressed. But the UK Independent noted, the impression persists that the administration sought to cast the operation in the most heroic light possible at the expense of the facts. Yeah, right. Now the president and his spokesperson and the subordinates are refusing to offer more details or explanations. The government has also announced that it will not be releasing pictures or any other evidence to support the claims, even as suspicions continue to mount. But as analysts pointed out, the newly revealed facts that there was no firefight begs the question about where the fog may have come from if there wasn't no firefight going on to cause it, right? And even more importantly, why in the absence of a firefight would the U.S. forces put a bullet through the brain supposedly containing the most valuable intelligence on the planet? Anyone? What if bin Laden knew where the alleged nuclear bomb in Europe was located that was set to detonate after his capture or death? None of those questions have been addressed so far, but prominent critics are sounding the alarm when such a foundational story as the demise of bin Laden cannot last 48 hours without acknowledged discrepancies that require fundamental alterations to the story, there are grounds for suspicion in addition to the suspicions arising from the absence of a dead body, from the absence of any evidence that bin Laden was killed in the raid or that the raid even took place, noted Paul Craig Roberts, a senior official in the former Reagan administration, in a piece entitled "The Agenda Behind the Bin Laden News Event." I'll have a link to that at the bottom also with this article's link. Roberts raised several important questions too, as well as some comparisons. The entire episode could just be another event like the August 4th, 1964 Gulf of Tonkin event that never happened but succeeded in launching open warfare against North Vietnam, and a huge cost to the Americans and Vietnamese and enormous profits to the military security complex. He suggested citing a series of government deceptions that have led war based on lies and other atrocities. Yes, the military security complex of GE and others, and there's just a whole bunch of them, Halliburton, just go down the line. Roberts suspects that there are more lies about bin Laden narrative than those exposed so far, and he's certainly not alone. It emerged recently that the man who owned the house next to bin Laden's supposed compound doesn't even believe the story either. To be honest, it's not true, he told Al Jazeera. As the official story continues to be rewritten by the administration and those in the media who simply repackage the government press releases, critics and skeptics would seem to be justified in wondering what other lies and fog of war changes may emerge in the coming weeks and months, and perhaps, even more importantly, we might also wonder if there are lies that may never be exposed in their entirety. End of story. Well, there you have it. An update story on what's gone on since the first story came out. And now you're finding out that through this report that several reporters are questioning this story. And then some of them are just saying, oh, just go along with it. He can't tell no lies. The governments can't be wrong. See, they told us. They showed us. They didn't do anything. Don't believe the government. If the government tells you they're here to help you, run. Don't walk. Because that's not what they're there for. They're there for to help themselves, not to help you. Well, until next time, this is Spellbinder's report on the bin Laden fraud that's been going on. Like I said, I actually heard several stories back after 2001, directly after 2001, beginning of 2002, that they said that bin Laden was dead. He died of his kidney failure because he had diabetes real bad. He had the bad kind. He had to have dialysis machines. And that's another thing. When they took all that video in that place and walked around and videotaped all the rooms, how come there was no medical equipment, no dialysis machines anywhere? I mean, the guy supposedly never left the establishment. He never went anywhere. Nobody came or went hardly, except for the one guy, the porter or so, the people that sold food at the door. I mean, come on now. And the disease, basically, that Osama bin Laden had a 5-year life sentence. I mean, he had 5 years to live with the type that he had. It's a real bad syndrome. I think it's Marfan syndrome, something like that. It's a real bad diabetes, and you only live 5 years with it. So I can't believe it. He lived an extra 5. No, let's see. He had it since 1997. So he should have been dead right after about 2001, which fits everyone's story coming out after 2001 that he was already dead, died of his renal failure. But that's beside the point. Believe them if you want to. I'm not believing anything because I've caught the government and I do critical analysis of what they say, and I can see through what they're telling people. And you should be able to do too. All you have to do is just listen to them, and when they start saying things that you don't know, look it up. Find out. Until next time, this is Spellbinder saying, do your research, be good or be good at it, and keep an open mind. Good day.